Hey, everybody. Welcome to She2She. This is our very first podcast, and we're so excited to be here with you today. So who is She2She? You're probably wondering, what is that? Well, first of all, we are two women. The two women you see on the screen right now, two women sharing real life experiences, the highs, the lows. We're inspiring one another, and it's important as women that we are able to inspire one another. Why? So that we may rise from the ashes of our past, heal, grow, do all of those amazing things, but also be the women that we wish to be for ourselves and our village. So I am Sharice Turman.
I am Tashima Kennard. And so why are we here? Right? So we are two women here that have been able to lean on each other through good times and bad times. And we felt that other women would be inspired by our conversations. And so today's topic, one of our conversations, our first conversation is going to be about our next chapter. Right? So what does that mean, our next chapter? What does that mean to us? So Sharice and I have had many conversations about the next chapter as we have ventured out on new business ventures, personal ventures. So we're going to talk about what that next chapter looks like and feels like. So Sharice, I want to ask you, what does the next chapter mean to you?
Oh my gosh. It's like the rebirth, to be honest. It's like the very beginning of something new. When I think about the next chapter, it took me some time to get here, but you remember back in like kindergarten when we used to have those coloring books and we'd open up the book and, it's already designed for us, right? There's already an image on that, on that picture. But what do? We take different color crayons and we start to color in, right? We color in and we give it life, right? And so to me, the next chapter is, that's an example of, it's our opportunity to start fresh. And first of all, to imagine what we want that to even look like, right? Yeah. So of course, it's going to require all sorts of things and a series of steps that we have to take ourselves. But to me, it's like a brand new start. It's a new journey.
Yes, I totally agree. And then for you saying the coloring book, right? And so as a kid, you wanted to stay within those lines of the coloring book. But I think as we have gotten older, you want to start coloring outside of those lines, right? So you want to start coloring outside of those lines and making your next chapter different, right?
That's
so the next chapter to me means, like you said, a new beginning, something fresh, not taking the old into the new. Right. And so you have kind of a rebirth, as you stated, to create whatever it is that you want in your next chapter. So tell me, Sharice, what is it that you want to do in your next chapter? What does your next chapter look like or entail for you?
There's so many things, first of all, that I want to achieve. First of all, I started into this current chapter that I'm in a few years ago, and it was a lifelong journey of wanting to get here, right? So I should say in that journey, it was more of an idea in my mind, right? And I think that's what, how it begins. It begins with an idea. And so I had this idea, I carried around this idea for years as to, wanting to go into where I'm doing now, which is real estate. Now, a lot of times when we have ideas, it's like, it's an idea, but do we actually believe we can actually do it? And do we feel like we're capable? Do we feel like, I'm sure a lot of, with the positive thought, which is the idea, comes flooding in all of these thoughts of negativity around, can I even do this? Is this even attainable? Do I have the resources? Do I have the know-how? And usually the answer is no, right? You're telling yourself all of these things. So for me, that began, a couple of years ago. But really getting to that point was a feeling unfulfilled, right? Unfulfilled in where I was at that time. Now, I think sometimes when I think back to that time of feeling unfulfilled, I feel like, gee, maybe I wasn't grateful, because in those moments of feeling unfulfilled, I had the career that I had dreamed that I wanted, but it became unfulfilling because it wasn't really speaking to my heart and the essence of me, and wasn't really allowing me to, I just didn't feel like I belonged there, you know? So journeying through that was a process. It was a process of getting to
Yes.
where I am today. Now, when I began to imagine what I wanted to do, um, came doubt and all of that. But I started to realize, gee, you got to work on your mindset, right? So we want a lot of things in life. A lot of times, I mean, how many times do you go up to someone and you're having a conversation? They're like, oh, I would really like to be doing this, or I had hoped to do that. But we stop ourselves in their tracks, right? So it took me working on my mind to actually be able to step into this new chapter, but also realizing now, once you start to venture into new chapters and you start to see things come to fruition, you start to believe, okay, there is much more, even that greater than where I am, out there for me to do. Now, I love real estate. I'm in sales right now, but obviously I'm in real estate. I do own a property, but obviously I want to own my own properties.
Right, right.
I want a portfolio. I want a certain lifestyle, right? That allows me, first of all, freedom of time, which I have right now, but I'd like to work into more of my own, owning my own time, even in the future. So, I definitely have aspirations that are still to come, that I believe is attainable, that I know will happen with time, effort, and, just grit and just going after it, right?
Yes, most definitely. So I think a lot of times when, just to frame up what the next chapter looks like what does that mean, right? And so a lot of times it's coming out of something and moving into something else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And coming out of something could be something of trauma. It could
Yeah.
be something either a place that you're living in. It could be, again, a traumatic experience that you've been to, but some were forced to move into those next chapters, right? And so right, sometimes we're forced to move into those next chapters, and you don't understand why you have that shift occurring in your life. What became familiar to you.
Yeah.
So sometimes, the next chapter is not something that you proactively seek out to move into. Sometimes you're forced to move into the next chapter, and then you have to redefine what that is to you. You have to understand, you have to redefine, well, what is it that I want in this phase of my life? A lot of times it could be your kids are growing up and moving outside of the house, the transition of a parent. So there are different phases as women that we experience that forces us to reevaluate what our next chapter is going to look like.
Right.
And so And so for me,
I was gonna ask you. Yeah.
And for me, my next chapter, it encompasses a lot of different points that I was forced to think about, right? It gave me time, different experiences in my life that I'm sure in our She2She podcast, we're going to touch on those topics very soon. But for now, my next chapter is one that I would say I don't have all the answers on what that looks like, but I do know that I wanted to, it's a clean slate. It's one where I can, have the freedom of time, evaluate both professional and personally, what I want. My next chapter is going to encompass some beach and sand. That's my happy place. And so, the freedom of time to be on a beach, to be, and because water and sun and sand, for me, that's life. And so part of my next chapter is recognizing the things that bring you joy. And so I know that those are the elements that I need in my life to bring me joy. So I know for sure that's in my next chapter, one way or the other. The other aspect of that is my next chapter encompasses kind of getting back to, like you said, as a child, the coloring book aspect, but getting back to the things that we did as kids where we didn't get paid for those things, right? But it was stuff that brought us joy. So part of that is my creativity in terms of writing. Those things bring me joy, music, and so my next chapter encompasses a lot of getting back to self.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, getting back to self.
Yeah, because you know what? I think in our early years of our lives, you know how they say, what's the saying? I can't think of the saying, but it would have been perfect for now, for this moment. But a lot of times, the first part of our lives, the first, early adult years of our lives is not really ones that we really author. Meaning, yes, we have responsibility in how things play out, but sometimes we are trying to align according to someone else's idea of how we need to be, live, think, conduct ourselves, whatever, right? So a lot of it comes with, okay, we spent all of that time, sort of wasted time, walking to the beat of someone else's drum, organizing and designing our lives accordingly, which is not even speaking to us, right? The essence of who we are.
Correct.
And we lose ourselves. So we go through this period, some of us, of like, oh my God, like I feel lost. I don't know what to do. I don't even know how, or maybe there is something that in your mind that you want to set out to do, but you just don't know how. So when I talked about the coloring book, yes, it is coloring in the lines, which I don't believe in being in a box, right? But
Correct.
that example was, we get to add color to our lives. We get to bring things to life, and we get to show up the way we want, right? The way we feel that aligns with us. And yeah, color outside the lines. You ain't got to be perfect. Life is not about perfection, and it's about really figuring it out. And a lot of times we don't know how to answer, or we don't answer the question of what is the vision? What is the vision? You can't go through life without a vision. You have to be anchored into that thing that you want, so that therefore all of the decisions that you make after determining that vision aligns with it, right? And so you're anchored, and you have sort of this compass as to, okay, here are some of the actions, and we'll talk about, some of the actions that you should be taking preparing for your next chapter, in support of your next chapter, because I think that's the hardest part. It's easy to come up with what you want to do, but you have to be anchored with a vision and be clear about it. Now, I have a little journal here. I don't know if you can see, but, I write down, right? I write, I have another journal, which I call my Oprah journal. I started way back in 2012. And that journal has seen many, tears.
Yes.
All sorts of emotions are written in that journal. But that journal was healing for me at those points of my life. But it also was directional, right? It allowed me to forge a path and be clearer about it. And I continue to live with intention. So you have to have the vision. And that's the first thing. And as Tashima said, there are reasons. Sometimes we're pushed into change, into that next chapter, or we go willingly and we make it happen, or situational, just different things where we're unfulfilled, like I was. So, I definitely think a vision is critical to even being able to step forward.
Yeah, but I also yes, a vision is number one, but how you get to that vision, using the journals, so you can figure out what that vision is for you, because it's personal to you, right? And so what you are focused on, what you put your thought into, those are how you're going to move through life. And so being able to write it out as your journals, I have journals too. And my poetry has kind of been that voice for me, and writing that out and getting things out, but also focusing and help giving me direction in which way that I'm going. But wherever your thoughts are leading you, wherever your focus is, that is the way you're going to move through life. And so that's important to kind of think about, when you're thinking about your next chapter, where's your focus? What is the thing that you want to focus on? And the vision of where you want to go, as Cherie says. So I think we don't really think about we don't take that self-time, right? You have to, it forces you to think about, what do I want my life to look like? And then that's what we are talking about when we're talking about the next chapter. So you're at the cusp of change and transition within your life, but you have the power to kind of write what that looks like to you, what that feels like to you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know. It's like, I love when you said you have the power to write, because it's so true. I think sometimes we forget we have power, right?
Yeah.
We forget that we have it. And I like to think of it as sort of co-authoring, because God has given us everything we need, right? So all of the tools, the gifts are already in us. He's just waiting on you to realize it. It took me a long time to realize it, right?
Yes.
He's just waiting on you to realize it and step into it. And he's right there. He's already authored it, and he's waiting for you to, give it color, right?
Yes.
He's waiting for you to rise to it. And when I realized that, oh my gosh, like
it's a powerful thing.
Oh, girl, powerful. To the nth degree. Like it was just, and so therefore, when you think about, okay, yeah, the next chapter is, okay, but guess what? A book is not just one chapter. There is many chapters. And so, yes, there was the early chapters that maybe weren't as great as you would have liked, but that's okay. I'm sure you learned something from it. I'm sure there's takeaways there that will allow you to be even more, stronger, more experienced, and you're taking that experience into your next chapter and subsequent chapters. But boy, I mean, you get to write the chapters, and when you realize that you can be the co-author of your own book, I mean, that is just it's just simply amazing. And so, as we said, the vision is critical because that anchors you, but you have to, as Tashima said, you have to acknowledge that, first of all, change is happening. Whatever it is, whether it's forced or it's just a feeling of, gee, I just don't feel like I am living my best life. There is so much more out there for me, but I'm just not tapping into it. So you have to acknowledge it and sit with that and spend some time alone, right? Some alone time, some thoughtful time. For me and Tashima, we love the water, honey. We love to be by some water, a big body of water. But for you, that might be something different. So figure out where you can go to your hiding place, whatever that is for you, and be one with yourself and quiet the mind, but also allow your heart and your mind to open to the universe, to whatever it is that is there for you, that will give you clarity and align you with it, right? And so prayer, everybody has their different beliefs, and that's fine. But whatever that is for you, tap into it and spend some time with it and be patient with yourself as you go through it. So I think acknowledgement is very critical to getting to the vision, as Tashima said.
Yes, it is very critical. And I think the other part to that, you said, give yourself patience. So I like to call that grace, right? And so give yourself grace, and faith, and having faith in what God has for you. The unknown, it can be a scary place. The unknown can be, it can shake you, right? Because you don't know what the next thing looks like. You don't know what the next chapter looks like, but having faith, going into that secret closet, having the conversations with, God about your true desires of your heart, and having the conversations with your tribe. So like me and Cherise have had numerous conversations about dreams, and we allow each other that space, right? And we allow that trust that we built with one another. We allow that space to be able to say, hey, I'm thinking this. Find your tribe. That's part of why we're doing this podcast, is because we found our tribe in each other, and we have other support in our lives. But find that tribe that is going to water you as you go into the next chapter of your life.
Oh my gosh. And that tribe, it gives you life, right?
It
Like,
does.
you
Yes.
want to have moments of like, okay, you have the excitement. Let's say you've arrived at what it is you want to be doing in your next chapter. So you're naturally, everybody goes through this high, right? You're so excited about the possibility of that, but you can quickly lose steam,
Oh
right?
yeah.
Because
Yep.
all of the mental talk. I have this mug right here. I don't know if you can see, but it's
Oh
positive
yes.
thoughts, right? Creates positive things. So, you're going to have all of these things running through your mind, but when you have a person in your corner, or a tribe in your corner of women, men, whoever that is for you, but we're specifically talking about women because women tend to suffer from this,
Yes.
right? But when you have that tribe, then it lifts you up when you start to lose momentum in that idea. And sometimes that person can say something that will spark you to pick it back
To
up.
keep going.
Keep
Yeah, to
going.
keep going. One, to keep going. And as you move into your next chapter, part of the beauty of it is, again, you being the author, but having rooted in faith and having rooted in belief in yourself. I think that is most important for you to walk into the next chapter, because you don't know what it's going to look like. You don't know what it's going to feel like, although you have hope, right? So hope, faith, grace with yourself, building your tribe, all of those are attributes that, as you start thinking about, well, what is my next chapter going to look like? Those are things that should be rooted in your thought process.
But here's the thing too, like, it's all unknown, and that's scary
Yes.
for the average human. Think about, okay, where you are right now is not really where you want to be, right? What you want to be doing.
Yep.
You already know what that's about, and it's not what you want to be doing. So I would much rather place my bet on something that I've never tried or never done, because chances are it's going to be better.
Yeah. But you don't
people-
always think that,
You don't
So I
think
think
it.
that's part of, you don't think it, you may not
No.
feel it, it's uncomfortable.
No.
It's coloring outside of those
That's right.
lines of that coloring book. And so,
Yep.
again, having your tribe, having the people around you that you can go to, having an outlet in terms of taking that time to focus on what you want. It doesn't always feel good, but the next chapter is a beautiful thing.
Listen.
The next chapter is a beautiful thing as you journey into it.
Yeah.
It's all about the journey. It's not about the end goal, even though that's the focus. The journey on to the next chapter is a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, for sure. 1,000%. So I think we have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh yes.
That was one of the, in the corporate life, Tashima and I, we have a lot in common, and that's one of them. That was one of the things that, thank God, I'm so grateful for alignment. When I tell y'all I'm grateful for alignment, even when I didn't even know what alignment was, because my steps were definitely ordered, and I thank God that I was aligned with, even in the corporate days, a company that was of positivity and positive thinking. Even though it was corporate, it was about that, what I just said, right? Like, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, but also, be willing to grow and step out and do uncomfortable things. For me, being uncomfortable in my early days was going to networking events. That was in support of what I wanted to do, which was to step into real estate. So I literally went to meetup.com and looked for events in my community, and I just showed up. Now, was I nervous and was I fearful and was I uncomfortable in my own skin? 1,000% I was. But I knew that it was a necessary component, ingredient to what that was in support of my vision for myself. And guess what? I mean, nobody died.
And look at you now.
Leaving that event, I was going in shaking in my boots because I didn't know what to expect. I'm intimidated by the possibility of the people that were going to be there. And I have to talk to these people that's what networking is getting to know and meeting people. And walking out of that, I felt so proud. So that is just a baby step towards the support of a goal. And it may feel, although it was small, it's big because
Yes.
you stepped out. So when
That's
you
that
step
faith
out,
walk.
that's a faith walk, and it's a
Walking
trust.
out that faith. Yes,
Yeah,
walking out that
because
faith. Yeah.
what you're doing is when you start to do things in support of your goal, right? So let's say I'm in real estate. So let's say it's a house. Maybe it's a house you want. So where you're living now, you don't have that house. Maybe right now it's going to be more of a long-term goal, but you can prepare today. You can start to, pare down. Maybe you've got a lot of clutter in your home and you want to make room for the gifts. You want to make room for the blessings. So start to do things in your current home that support your move, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
you're
yep. It's like, yes. Yep. So it's like you're preparing, right? So I think I read something, I don't know if it was a meme or just something that I was reading, but anything that you want that you don't currently have, and maybe it was just listening to, Pastor Parker in prayer. I don't know where I heard it from, but it said something along the lines of what you're speaking of, like preparing, right? So the things that you want, you already act like you have them. Move in the way that you already have it, that it's already showed up. Like, if you want to lose 20 pounds, you dress like you already do that. Wear that confidence like you already lost the 20 pounds. If you want to, like whatever goal it is, act like you already have it. Move in that direction, like move in your life, focus your thoughts like it's already arrived to you,
right.
So when it comes, yes, you're already aligned in that, so I think that is huge as we talk about the next chapter of life, right? The next chapter, which can be, again, many, many, many things for an individual to each person, but
because I remember, like, for me, as part of my couple things I did. Obviously, when you're starting something new, you're going to have to invest time and probably some money, right? So and when you do that, like for me, my thought process, because a lot of people are like, why should I have to pay to learn something, right? And I'm like, why not? For me, I'm like, why not? We go to college and we pay a bunch of money to develop a craft, right? So we can have a career. So it's no different. Investing in your dream or whatever it is no different. You have to look at yourself as you are valuable for that, right? And so I don't look at it as throwing money away, because I know I plan to use it. If I'm going to spend the money, I'm going to adopt and I'm going to embrace it. So I did that right out the gate. I invested almost $5,000 into coaching, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I thought I was going into that just learning what I wanted to learn, right? But the coach was like, no. We start with the mind, honey. We start with your mindset, because I don't care what you're trying to do in life, you need to start here. I don't care what career, I don't care what hobby, what side thing you're trying to do. You start with your mind, because it's almost like you have to rebuild what you know, in a sense, or how you treated yourself. Like Tashima said earlier, treat yourself with grace, right? We have to have grace in ourselves. And a lot of times we beat ourselves up. And how do we do that? With our thoughts of believing we're not good enough. That is beating yourself up, believe it or not.
Yes.
Not to you. Because chances are, if you have this thing in your heart that you want to do, you have some gifts in there that can support that. Now, you may not have all of the know-how to be successful right out the gate. It's going to take some ramp up time and some learning. So you have to be patient with the process and trust the process. But you have something special in you already that supports that. So You got to work with your mind, because if you don't, you're not going to be successful. That is true. That is like 101. Even in business and my corporate life, that's what we talk about: growth mindset versus fixed mindset, and believing that, you know, you can grow into we don't come out the womb having every tool and talent. We have to nurture it, and we have to put the time in and the effort in, and we have to work on our craft. So if you're willing to put the work in and have the tenacity to do that, then you will be fine. Trust me, you'll be fine, because you're committed to the goal and you're committed to the cause, and the cause is you. So for me, stepping out, I had to bet on myself. So putting out $5,000, that was a lot of money. It was a lot of money, but I believed in me. So when I left corporate, my motto literally for months and months and months and months was, I'm going to bet on Sharice for once.
Mm-hmm.
And once I did that, I began to see, oh my gosh, this thing works. I understood my thoughts. Yes, I am fearful of things, but just because I'm fearful doesn't mean that it's going to flatline me. I'm just going to work on getting through that fear. So I am human, but that doesn't, you know, I'm never going to allow myself to be flatlined and allow something to, you know, stop me just because I'm fearful. Because I believe on the other side of that fear, you know, doing is I'm going to be fine. I'm going to look back like, why was I afraid? What was I afraid of?
Yep. And you know, the word says the renewing of your mind, right? And so, you know, you're absolutely right. It starts in the mindset, you know, in that mindset, you start walking out that faith and stepping through that fear of whatever it is. And so I think those are critical things when you talk about your next chapter, you know, and how to get there and what that looks like and what that feels like, and what are the things that I want in my next chapter. And so we hope that, you know, we inspire you to think about your next chapter, move into the next chapter, shift your mindset, and know that the next chapter is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And my advice to anyone who's like sitting on the cusp, because I was sitting on the cusp for a very long time of life and feeling like, you know, I'm stuck or unfulfilled.
Yeah.
Just be open. Just be open to all of the good that you deserve. Just believe, first of all, believe you deserve it.
Yeah.
And then be open to all of it and conduct yourself accordingly. As Tashima said, dress the part, spend time on it, meaning for me, driving down the street, you know, as I'm driving, sometimes I don't listen to music. Sometimes if I'm in the music mood, I got to hear some of my Kirk Franklin's praise.
Yes,
I got to hear some gospel, right? But if I'm not listening to that, I am playing something that is feeding my mind, no matter what. So you have to feed your mind. So my advice to you is feed your mind good. So if you've been spending a lot of idle time doing mindless things, that's a habit that you have to break in order to start to get the alignment that you want. Otherwise, you're just feeding your mind the same stuff that you've been doing for years. So you have to, you know, for me, YouTube University, if I want inspiration, motivation, I know where to go. If I want to learn more deeper, right, about my real estate stuff, I know where to go. I'm on YouTube and I'm following so many people because I want to grow and I use time wisely. So my advice to you is to be open to all of the possibilities and believe in you.
Yes. And to that point, I'll just add to what Sharice said. Yes, feed your mind and feed your soul, right? Yeah. Feed your soul. Feed your soul, whatever that is, if that's taking an hour of your day to just refocus yourself, whether you read the Bible, but whatever spiritual aspect that is, that you are walking out in your life, like feed your soul, you know, feed your soul, shift your mindset, believe, have faith, as you move into your next chapter. And we are here to cheer you on and to inspire you, you know, as we talked about what our next chapters look like and feel like. what it's going to be like. We don't know, I'm still trying to figure that out myself. I tell my kids all the day, yeah, I'm grown, but I'm still trying to, I'm still trying to grow up too. I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. And it's all a journey. And so we want to leave you with, I hope you enjoyed our She2She conversations. On the next chapter, we will be bringing many, many more topics to you in our She2She conversations. So yeah, Sharice, anything else you want to say?
No, thank y'all for watching. Please like, share. Again, we're speaking to the hearts of women. We got to band together. Let's put the drama down and let's just uplift each other, because that's what I'm about. That's it.
Yes,
I ain't got nothing for you besides that.
We are all about that. So
yeah. So thank you so much, guys. Like I said, subscribe, like, share, join us. We're going to be bringing some really great content, life stuff, our experiences, all sorts of great topics. We'll be having some speakers come on, but we are excited about this new chapter for us.
Yes, this is a new chapter for us as well. So thank you, everyone. So lastly, we just want to say, be you, be loved, be blessed, and shine like the diamond you are. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye.
All right.